Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes. Fridays, it's time to check in with Dr. Alex Apostle from the Shelton School District. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Jeff. Great to be here as always.
Good to talk with you. I was sitting in and listening in on the school board meeting this week, another heavily tuned in meeting when I was watching I was there for at least maybe over an hour or so listening in. There was a couple hundred folks there, lots of community involvement. There was a lot of topics discussed and a lot of tough decisions being made. So let's kind of go through where we got to the point on the approval of the budget on this week and then kind of all the decisions with that.
Well, there's no question, Jeff, that it was a very difficult decision for myself and the school board. And the only thing I can say is, we had some information, received information from the governor yesterday about taking a different look at the transportation budget, which we are going to do, and job sharing. And so we're going to take a look at that and see how that fits in with everything. The objective, quite frankly, Jeff, is to bring people back to work in some fashion. That's what I want to try to do. And in the resolution, it gives the last section of the resolution, it states that the resolution gives the superintendent the authority to revamp the position that we approved, and that is going to be our intention, and that's what we want to try to do. We're going to take another look at things. I've got people working on job sharing and getting all the details along with what we can and cannot do in relation to the governor's direction regarding the transportation budget. So just the bottom line here is we're going to do everything possible within legal limits to bring people back to work. That's my objective. That's the objective of the school board. And we want to do everything we can to make that happen, because there's no question the people that are impacted regarding this budget decision are extremely important to our students, to our teachers, and to our system. It was a very, very difficult conversation. It's been a difficult conversation for months, but we didn't have all the information. And, proof of that is we received different information yesterday.
Sure.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to make some decisions to try to see what people we can bring back. And our intent is to, within reason, bring as many people back as possible.
I would imagine, especially at this time, when you submit these budgets and you make the final votes on these from the school board and then they get submitted, that especially now with it so in flux on whether or not, like the information from the governor's office on transportation, or if down the road the federal government decides to take up this and work on a way to send more monies out, not only to the states, but then have that trickle down to the school districts. So is the budget is not set in stone now. If situations were to change and you're able to bring people back, it is amenable, right?
We're going to do everything we can, within the law. Mm-hmm. We submitted a budget of 4,125 students, and that's what we're being funded on right now. And if our students come back above that figure, it's going to be wonderful. Then we can maneuver. If it comes in less in January, see, we're funded between now and the end of the year at 4125. Mm-hmm. Then what they're going to do in January, the state, they're going to go on actual numbers, on our actual enrollment. So if our enrollment is, let's say, conservatively, it's 4,300. That gives us the latitude to be able to do what I've just mentioned. If for some reason our enrollment is 3,800, that's 325 less students than we were budgeted for.
Sure.
So what they will do, they will base our revenue on 3,800 or 3,825. That presents a problem. But we're going to look at this in a very positive way and hope that everything is going to work, that parents are going to send their students back to the Shelton schools, which I believe they will. And, the people that are impacted regarding our current decision on the budget need to know that this is not what we want. This is protecting the district's solvency at this particular time. But if circumstances were to improve, of course, we're going to bring people back to work. And, the job sharing possibility will help us. And, in our district, we have different unions, different bargaining agreements. In some districts, they've got, in terms of the classified staff, they have one union, one contract, and they can move in job sharing from one place to the other. In other words, bus drivers can move to where paras are. Paras can move to where bus drivers are. So what we would do is we'd go right to the table with our unions and determine, based on our enrollment, based on where we're at, we'll sit down and we'll negotiate to the best of our ability to make this work for as many people as possible.
One of the things I heard this week in the meeting was people were wondering about the rainy day fund, or the I think there was about 4.7 million. That's kind of a look ahead. And you mentioned solvency. Can you kind of talk about that?
Right now, we're at best, we're at about 2.5 million. Well, in a district like ours, that's not much of a cushion just in case something happens. For example, in January, if our enrollment decreases, that $2.5 million isn't going to mean too much. So everything hinges, unfortunately, in a public school system on enrollment. That drives our revenue. So we've got to prepare for the unknown, and it's very difficult. And when you prepare for the unknown, as a superintendent and as a school board, you've got to protect the solvency of the school district. But at the same time, if things improve in terms of how we can use people, how we can bring them back, whether it's job sharing or what have you, I mean, we're going to do whatever we can. And I believe I stated that in the board meeting at the end. We're going to do everything we can. As a superintendent, you do have that authority. And of course, I will consult with the board. I'm not going to be sitting in my office and unilaterally making those kinds of decisions. I will work with my board, with the cabinet, with union leaders to see where we're at. That's the way we'll do business. And, I need to maintain a budget that's realistic in relation to the revenue. The minute, if you were to overstaff a school district, if you overestimated revenue and you continued to operate as usual, you will do harm to the district, to the students, and to everyone involved. So we're being very conservative, but at the same time, now where we see a little light at the end of the tunnel with the governor's direction and this work share possibility, we're going to exercise everything we can to look at this situation in a very positive way and try to bring people back to work. We need them. We need our paras, we need our food service, we need our bus drivers, because there's going to be a time when this is going to lighten up a bit and we can get back to normal to some extent. So I just want people to know that we're looking very carefully on the information we receive every single day. And right now, I would say we have some positive news from the governor and with this work share program.
And I know it's not just you. I was talking with Superintendent Mallory from Merriam Knight as well, and they're looking at the numbers and trying to understand all that with their class and their school they have there down in Vancouver, Clark County area. I saw a report that they were furloughing almost half of the people in that school district. Another question that came up was the athletics and activities directors. So
Sure.
at a time, a couple years ago at least, the athletics director was also the football coach, and they stayed mainly at the high school. I think he also was the math teacher or something like that. Are these positions strictly high school positions, or are these also district-wide looking at activities and athletics?
Very, very good question, Jeff, and it's been asked by people in the community. We are now, this is before the pandemic, our goal was to have a great academic program, and I've mentioned, that we're going to be starting a new high school, a community high school, a project-based high school, Cedar High School. We're moving ahead with the Met Academy. We're trying to create a vision to really support our students as they go through the system. Part of that is having a great athletic and activities program. And so before the pandemic, we wanted to improve what was going on in terms of activities and athletics in the elementary schools and in the middle grades so that they would feed right into the high school. So we hired an activities director who happens to be Mark Smith, the head football coach. But both he and Trevor Leopold, who is dealing with the high school primarily, and that's a big job, to keep us informed in terms of what's happening with athletics across the board. And Mark is doing the same thing. They're attending meetings. They're keeping the district informed as to what's happening with athletics and activities. It's not that they're sitting on the sidelines doing nothing. But if we need those people down the road, based on what I've talked about in terms of potential scenarios, they may have to do double duty too. And so that's the story. Before the pandemic, we had the fields going in, and we do still have the field construction going on. Mm-hmm. The facilities are being improved, and we wanted to have a very strong athletic and activities program K-12. And there was no way that Trevor Leopold could handle all of that on his own. Being a high school athletic director is a big job. Now, there's more to it than people see. So those two positions are critical to the ongoing effort for Shelton schools to be the very best. Athletics and activities are very important to our kids. And that they coincide directly with academic achievement. When kids are happy, when they're involved in activities in schools, K-12, they're more apt to come to school every day and to excel academically. They go hand in hand, and I think some people have trouble seeing that. But I've been in this business for 44 years, and I know how important activities and athletics are in terms of the total picture in a public school system. So we made these decisions before the pandemic because things were really rolling forward. And we had great support from a majority of the community to continue to refine and improve activities and athletics in the Shelton School District. We were falling behind. And anybody that keeps up with athletics and activities in our school district, they know that we needed to improve. And again, those programs go hand in hand with student success and academic success.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to say. I mean, it was a tough week. It was, I'm sure, hard to sit on the listening end of a lot of those emails and messages and phone calls read to not only you but the board as well. Again, it's not just the Shelton School District facing these issues, but all across the state and the country, the world. Really. So I'm encouraged by hearing about that governor's directive on the transportation, and hopefully that opens the doors to helping out of the folks who were maybe left behind on this last budget, but there could be some opportunities moving down the road.
Jeff, we're going to do everything we can to bring people back to work. Are we going to be able to bring back every single person? Well, it depends. they're telling us that next year is going to be more difficult than this year. And as a superintendent, I can't have a blind eye to that. You know, when the state is going to be 10 to 12 billion dollars behind, you've got to think, well, how's all that going to work? And we're seeing some difficulties right now. But you know, we're talking about people's livelihood and their life. And I can tell you this, that we're going to do everything possible to make things happen and to improve things for the people that are going to lose their jobs. But I really believe that based on the governor's direction and the job share, I think we're going to be okay. I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect, but it'll be better than where we are right now. And I'm going to try very hard. We're going to meet with our union leaders and talk about the possibilities based on the governor's information, and we're going to see where we're at. So I don't want to have people give up hope. We have hope, a lot of hope, and we're going to do everything we can to make it work. So,
no, Dr. Alex Apostle, I think too, another aspect of why this is such a focus on right now is obviously the schools are starting right now,
right?
But also this, if I'm kind of picturing this in my head, the school district is one of the first major entities that's coming back after all of this budgetary information. I mean, cities haven't been making their budgets quite yet. Counties haven't been making theirs quite yet. I mean, we don't know until really kind of the legislative session gets underway, but because the school district is in kind of in a unique off-year fiscal cycle, you're seeing it happen now.
Right.
When this what you guys just did this week could be a canary in the coal mine for many institutions moving down the road.
Well, I review the literature and the reports and everything, the research across the state and across the nation. And I sent some information to the school board about school districts across the country that are doing the same thing, if not more than what we're doing here at this time. But, you know, I'm worried about Shelton. I just take a look at what's going on because that's important for a superintendent to do. But quite honestly, I'm not worried about any other district except our district. And so, like I said, Jeff, the door is open to make things better than where they are right now. And we're going to do everything possible to make things better for our people.
Dr. Alex Apostle is the Shelton School District Superintendent and here weekly. And I look forward to talking with you next week to see if there's more movement on
I hope so. I hope I have good news.
Good to talk with you, Alex. Have a good one.
Thank you, Jeff.